So, gonna do some steel. So steel. So first we already have a bit of the zenithal, which kind of works, but we want to figure out some colors to use. So a lot of time steel would have, if I wanted to do like a sun reflection, would have the ultramarine blue in it, but a bit of problem with ultramarine blue is that it's not quite got the coverage that I'm looking for. So instead, I'm going to go with a phthalo blue. Okay. Then I'm going to give myself just a little bit of magenta. I need a little bit. Okay, now some other tones that we're going to need. We're going to need something for white. I happen to like an ivory. Okay, get that guy on there. We're going to need a black. What else? Let's get some nature green. Use that in some of the lower reflections to do grass, but that's not the only thing we're going to use. Also, like some ground brown. And we need a good neutral gray. We can use this. This is fine. Stonewall gray. It's pretty neutral. I could just mix black and white, but I like having something that I can come back to. Okay. So. What do we got? We got, let's get this in the right position. So we got two shapes here. We got the breastplate, which is this like S curve, right, with a ridge in the center, and then we have the shoulder plate, which has is basically dome shaped. So we have first thing I'm going to do is based on the direction, the lighting on the face. I want to figure out where the sun is going to be on these elements, right? So this is where like the main reflection point is. And if I use, give me a second. Let me grab a flashlight. Where's my flashlight? Okay. So if I kind of hold it to line up where so I put her at her main point, and then I kind of hold it out here. It's white, so it's kind of difficult to tell where those little reflections are. But basically, there's one here. Okay, that's going to be my main sun. And then there's one like right here. And then that one is then reflected down here. Okay, and I also get a little bit of reflection point in there. That's much easier to see on black primer, but all right. So to mix an ultramarine blue, the problem with this is not the right shade of blue we're looking for. First of all, it's way too saturated. And it's not quite close enough. It's slightly closer to a cyan than it is to like an ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, to get it more ultramarine, closer to ultramarine. You got to mix a little magenta into it. Okay, then I want to desaturate it so I can grab some of the gray. Okay. Hello, hola. All right. Now, the sky is most blue from above, okay? Directly on top. Where it's closest to the horizon, it starts to turn a bit a bit lighter, right? And it also turns slightly more greenish blue. So something like sunrise blue. Okay, look, if I just take the phthalo blue, right? Okay, keep mixing. Right. See how this one, it's hard to see on camera, but one is slightly warmer than the other. Probably because I'm using ivory to lighten it instead of white. But Okay, so where would the horizon be? So at this point of her chest, right, is where you're going to have the horizon line. So everything from here under is going to start reflecting the ground. However, on her shoulder, you don't really get that because it all faces upwards. See, nowhere on this slope is it facing down. As you start to come down here, however, this is where it would start to transition some. So we'll get a little bit of horizon reflection there. Okay. This all faces upwards. Yep. On the horizon. Okay, I'm going to take some black, some ground brown. Okay, you get something like this. The horizon's not super large and not super flat like that, but I'm just getting the rough shape in. Hello, Paco. Hola. What's up? Okay, and I'm going to grab some of this. Ground brown and the green. Okay, just to make a sort of ground reflection. How you doing? How was your stream? All right, next thing to do. The sun is very bright. It will overpower this, creating a bloom effect. Okay, it's going to blow out this reflection. Right? This is also not perfectly round, so we need to make it slightly elongated. Something like this. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Okay, so we do something like that. Now, this dark green, or dark green, dark blue, right? we're going to have to slowly build this out and desaturate this a little more. We'll have to introduce more reflections, and we can put clouds in and stuff like that. But the rough kind of reflection pattern there makes sense. Okay. So here, if I want to make some random noise, something like clouds or whatever, I can just place that stuff in, right? Now it does need to conform to the shape of roughly conform to the shape of the armor. Hello, hi everyone. Okay. And then down here where we have more closer to the ground, okay, we can start to put in some brighter reflections at the bottom. Okay. Now we have to think about the other side, right? How does this side work? So it's going to be similar. I'm going to use a little black this time though. I'm going to take out a little bit of color, darken this down a little bit. Here we'll still get sky reflection, okay? But this is the side of the sky that's facing away from the sun. So we can go a little darker, and we can put some light in below, think like this. And then as we come closer to the arm here, we're gonna have to deal with those, but let's get some more of the sky reflection in. Okay. And the ground reflection pattern isn't really going to change. Right, so this sort of stays the same. Now it is a different part of the ground, so we can make some adjustments so that we maintain that separation between the two. Okay. Now, we have to think about these last few shapes here. So this shape, again, this gets the sky. And then this shape, this piece of her shoulder, right? What would this reflect? Anyone? It's mostly going to reflect the horizon, but we'll be able to get some treatment in there, some different tones and things. Okay. Some of our ground reflections and such will appear. No, what are you talking about? I don't lick my brush. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Then on the horizon, I'm going to desaturate this side a little. Okay, so you see what's happening here? What happened is it started to curve down. So I need to make adjustments to that so that as this curves, it kind of curves up a little bit. Right? Okay. So let's take some more of the sky blue, and where it meets the ground, we're going to start to push the light more. And then where the sun is, we're going to get a more intense reflection. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, I'll do what I want. All right, if any point the blue starts to look too blue, right? We want to if we want to desaturate a little, that's fine. Right? Okay, now we've got to push the light more, more, because the sun, right? The sun's going to be super bright. Right, we got to think about her, how bright her face is. So we can kind of overdo it. If we want to overexpose the armor. The paint's non-toxic, dude. Okay, something like that. All right. So this is just like rough outline of where kind of main reflections would go, right? How do we make it more interesting? Well, what we can do is we want to start thinking about the shape of the armor itself, right? The curvature of the armor. So certain elements to create a more interesting sort of reflection system. Because we want to reinforce the shape of the armor with the way we paint lines. Okay, so say I wanted to put, I'm gonna grab just like a slightly dark grayish blue. Something like this. Now, say there's some clouds. I got way too much magenta in there. All right, gray blue. If I want to put a cloud in the sky and reinforce the shape, I follow the contour of the armor, right? So if it's curving one direction or whatever, I need to reinforce that curve. So somewhere like here, I can exaggerate the curve. Right? It's got this shape, I overdo it. Now, what do I do for clouds? Obviously, the cloud is going to be brighter towards the sun, right? So I come in and I can place if it's above the sun, right? The light needs to be on the bottom, blah blah blah. To morph together, you mean to blend? We're just going to continue to make noise, right? We're going to keep making noise with intermediate tones until it looks blended. But we're not so much concerned with like creating a perfectly smooth gradient here. What I'm concerned with is creating noise. Noise. Okay, I begin to blur things. I can take some of the black with the green. Put some plants into the environment. I don't need to create a perfect mirror. I want to create the sensation of a mirror. Castellano es español. Yes, it's Spanish. No, Castellano es español de España. La idioma de Madrid. Muchos idiomas de España. Castellano, catalán, Basque. Not different. Just specific. It's referring specifically to the dialect of Spain. Okay, so right, how big are these clouds? Okay, so something like here, if I want to make I can introduce more. I don't need the actual clouds. So if you think about this reflection, right, clouds are honestly like they could be pretty small depending on how far away they are in a reflection. Right. So we just continue to create more noise. If there's parts that I don't like, I can come back in with the blue sky, or if there's too much contrast, I can come in and tone it down. Okay, something like that, right? And all right, the big guy, right? We have to keep pushing this sun reflection until it looks like ridiculously bright. Okay. So what that means is really softening and spreading out that reflection. Okay. If you think about like when you look at the sun, right? You shouldn't look at the sun directly into the sun. But if you think about like the sun reflecting off the windshield of a car, that lens flare type effect. Yeah, we're going to get to what's going on with the hands. But yeah, off of like a window or a car windshield, it's gonna appear like insanely bright, right? And it expands, it blooms outwards. So if we think of our eyes as like a camera, we need to paint this reflection brighter than what like the white balance or the exposure of our eyeballs can handle. So if I could paint something brighter than pure white, I could put like another highlight inside. Okay, so grabbing more of the blue and the ivory, we're going to bring that reflection all the way up here. Okay, something like this. Now, this transition is too abrupt. So we have to get more of this blue in. But then we can come back and make some adjustments like so. Exaggerate that curve a little. Now, what about this shape? Okay, so edge highlights are an interesting thing when it comes to metallics because edges tend to have, it's not just an edge, it's like an actual curve, okay? So if there's a highlight, right? There's a light here that would reflect on this. This would share a similar reflection point, right? There would be an interior curve to that shape. Same down here. Thanks, Ryden, for the prime. Appreciate it. Okay. Anytime you get these sort of interior curves, this can happen, right? Any sort of curve. So an edge highlight doesn't always, you don't have to do, it's not always going to be like an edge highlight running all the way across, but if it's facing the if it's facing towards the light, then yes, it would get an edge. Right? So something like this little shape right here also faces the light. But then it quickly changes into a ground reflection. I did, Jonas. I hope you did too. Appreciate it. Right. So it quickly changes into a ground reflection on the side. And we'll get some nice reflections in here. What about on the side of her shoulder here? There might be some ground reflection there, but then maybe this is all facing kind of the horizon. So it'll be a little bit of a brighter blue. Hi, Jackson. Because we talked what we talked about with the horizon line. The light blue of the horizon. Okay. Now it's not as, it'll never be as bright as like this, but it is brighter. Okay, like so. So we get a kind of shiny effect, right? Now, what about in here? We need to create some more interest inside of these. So we can make some noise. Adios. Here, little tiny shapes, right? See, when we really get into like refining this is still like super sketch. When we really start to get into refining is when we're going to start to introduce some like really tiny shapes. Okay. Something like that, right? That's just a mark. I'm just trying to create this small amount of curvature to the breastplate here. Now this actually curves back. How hard of a edge is that? Yeah, there's like a small bend in that, so it's not quite an S curve. It does a little bit. So what I can do, I want to soften that edge with some grays. I think about some kind of patch of dirt here or whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, some people would call this like sky earth non-metallic metal. I think that's kind of a goofy name. Where we paint non-metallic metal is roof floor non-metallic metal, like otherwise. I don't know. If the if the goal is to paint a character outside, then yeah, you should probably be painting some sort of sky reflection. Unless, of course, you're going for a very stylized look. Right. That's different. Okay. Here, I'm going to put some, I'm going to separate these a little bit. All right. Let's goof around with some more shaping. Let's get funky with it. Okay. So something like this, right? We can create these unusual kind of patterns of reflections. These sort of zigzags, right? The armor has some kind of bend in it. And we want to further reinforce the just unusual nature of the way reflections happen. Right. So who knows what that is? Maybe there's a mountain and it's like reflecting somehow weirdly. Okay. This still needs to be softer. Distorted reflections, yeah, I mean, they follow the shape. They typically will follow the shape of the object, but there could be like slight imperfections in the shape of the object, right? This is made with a computer. Handmade armor is not, is not made with a computer. It's made with a hammer and an anvil or whatever other kind of tool. Right? So we want to figure out how to use those, get those imperfections in there. Right? So I've got kind of like a rough metallic look, right? Now we got to get more things happening. So thinking of this shape, okay, so here's one, right? If I want to be consistent, if I've got a cloud here and the sun's reflecting here, that same cloud needs to reflect here, right? I can put another cloud there. That's maybe this small cloud. Maybe I'll put another cloud reflection up here. Mere immortal. Hello. Okay. So, just, try and be thinking about that stuff. Yeah. Okay. What happens on... So here we want to take and make some small adjustments to just the top. I get a little bit of that blue back. And then lighten this up a bit. Okay. Like such. Now let's try and get some of these just neutral grays. Some slight more. right? The ground actually gets pretty bright. It's not crazy, but we can always glaze that color into it. Okay, so you see over here I haven't done much. Just kind of been focusing on this main view. What happens when it curves over and away, right? So I need to think about what color this is going to be, but the safest bet, if I just want to make it some sort of neutral color for her sleeve, just be to stick to some kind of gray reflection for now. Think that this, right, if this is the main view, where is it going to start reflecting this? Like here. Okay, now let's go a step further. Where is it? What did I do with it? Where's the arm? I need her arm. Oh, there it is. Bam, right? So she's got a big old sword that goes like right across the chest. So I have to consider that this sword is going, her arm and her sword is all going to reflect inside of this chest plate. But what color will it reflect? Probably very dark, because the bottom of the sword is not really visible. So the easiest thing to do would just be to go like this, right? And look where that reflection would be. So if I go like this, it moves, right? I don't want it to be... If I put this over too far, it won't make sense, right? Because there's a bend, right? So, but the proximity is very close. So I'm just going to make some marks. I don't really care if I get paint on the other sword because it's not painted yet. So I'm just going to make some marks to say like, hey, here's where the sword is. And it's going to go all the way up. Right, so this whole thing is going to be one big reflection. She also is then holding it, so all of this would end up being the inside of her arm. Yes, there would actually be a reflection inside the reflection, so it's like the light would hit the breastplate, right? The light would hit the breastplate, it would bounce off the breastplate onto the back of the sword. There would create some kind of small reflection. So we'll do some of that stuff. But to figure, like, to try and, I don't logic out where exactly all that stuff would be extremely kind of difficult and pointless. Okay, so you get the back of her arm, which will be like a brown leather or something. I don't know yet. Maybe even a red. And her hand comes up here and somehow holds the blade, right? The most logical sense, though, is right now just to make it significantly darker than the rest. Because certainly less light is going to reach in there than anywhere else. Now that we know roughly where the sword blade is, we can start to create some definition that separates these elements, right? We'll blur them out, but we want the guard to be clearly defined against, or the sword reflection to be clearly defined against the rest. Thanks, Mini Ninja and Glockzilla. Hello. Okay, cool. So this we'll push a little bit just to give it some. All right, we'll get a little sky reflection in there so it sort of separates the sword. Then we'll come around. Refine this shape. So the important thing, the number one most important thing to remember is that there is no mathematical perfect way to do this, okay? Like, there isn't a correct way, because the second you go like this, the reflections turn and they don't make sense anymore. Right? So we have to try and get it as close as possible, making sense from like the main view, and then fill in the gaps. And a lot of times the filling in the gaps part is just creating noise where we need it to make it make sense. Okay, something like that. Then we know this is gonna have like a small reflection of that sleeve. So we'll get a little reflection there. Okay. Any questions about this stuff? All this make sense to you guys? You're like, yeah, I got this. I'm gonna go paint fancy non-metallic reflection right now. Do this in my sleep. No, there's no secret technique to it, huh? It's just making it work. You slowly just build up more and more little. You get the main reflections in, you build up all the little details. You make it make sense where you need it, right? Okay, so let's make some adjustments. thanks, hi Richard. Thanks, Mirror Immortal, for the Prime. Appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of this sky, some of these more grayish tones. I'm just going to make some little, I don't know, could be anything. I don't know what it's reflecting exactly. It's just reflecting something. Don't overthink it. It's more about the shapes and the rhythm. Than anything else. Maybe there's like a dark path here, huh? And it reflects in the armor. All right. Okay. Gotta get that back. So for Monty next year, you're going to paint a reflection. No, I'm not doing that. All right. Let's see what else. Let's get some more kind of neutral grays in. You know, maybe that's a cloud reflection. Maybe there's another little cloud reflection there. How do we want to handle this edge? All right, so rolled edges are weird because we have to think about how objects interact with the rolled edge, right? They're typically always going to dip away somehow away from the rolled edge, okay? So if I have a cloud that comes towards this rolled edge, right? It's going to come towards the rolled edge. Let my paint dry. See, I let it curve into the roll, and then it has to come back out of the roll. So you get like these little like McDonald's arch shapes. As objects interact with the rolling edge, the rolled over edge of metallics. Thanks, Dave. La Duano. La Duano. Okay. Let's get some more noise in this part. Okay, tiny clouds time. All right. So now is when we can kind of come in and just like create some kind of scatter noise. Here's what I think I'd like to do. I think I'd like to place a reflection there, so that I can get that like clearly the cloud stops because it doesn't go around, and then I can paint the blue on the other side a bit lighter so that when I go to paint her hand, it'll show up. Clowns? Yes, this is what I was talking about, the zigzags. Hi, Jet. The zigzags. I'm putting some like little bit of underlining under the clouds, but I'm going to soften those back. Again, I'm just making noise. And if we get some clouds like really close to the sun, they're gonna kind of, the sun's gonna kind of light those clouds up, right? So this cloud that's really close will actually start to blend in with the sun a little bit. Cool. All right. Yeah. Need a medium blue. So essentially this is like the effect, right? Yes, there's still some more adjustments to be made. I could probably darken some of the blue around, like here. If I want to make the sun look even brighter, I can soften, or I can darken down around this a little bit to make it look like a very blue sky day. Extra shiny armor. All right. So if I zoom out, right, we'll put our sword on. All right. So yeah, I've got to, I need to eventually I'll adjust that, but I'm not so into the green anymore. What do you guys think? The green cape, whatever. I'm kind of thinking red. I'm kind of feeling a red. No. Now I'm not so sure that that's working for me, right? So maybe I just want to do this. Just see how I feel about it. Maybe, maybe not. No. I don't know if that's supposed to be metal or not. Anyways, I don't like the, we're going to go back. We're going to change it. We're going to go with something different. We can use a little red, but not that red. Maybe something like that. I never fully plan out color choices. I will typically have a idea of what colors I want to use. This figure is very different. A lot of this figure has been done on the fly, like changes have been made. Because I came back to it after like a month of not painting it. So okay, let's take some of this and then some of this guy. But no, I never have an exact color palette in mind. Hello. Okay, now that we've done that, what do we think about the cape? The thing about the cape is a lot of it's going to get covered with the shield and everything. I mean, her arm covers most of it, right? It's like... I should make an axe and a Viking. Okay. I've painted a Viking before. You can go back and watch me paint a Viking on my stream replays on my YouTube. We did one on here. Okay. I think it's time for a quick break. Still not sure how I feel about the red. Feels a little too red. Might tone that down. Maybe if I just take a little red and black. That feels a little better, but yeah, we could make some. We could make some adjustment. Let's mix a little magenta onto the cloak. Just tone it back a little further. Yeah, it's not so bad now. It's just a little too intense before. Okay. I will be right back. Anything? I just meant in like a general sense, okay? Yeah, I mean, I have to mess with the red and the reflections, and I'm not even sold on the red yet. I just meant with like the sky and everything. I think we could push the light more. Get that settled right. There we go. And if we really want this sunny, ultra bright, sunny reflection, we've got to make that really, really intense. It's cool. Glad to hear you getting some teaching from Matt. Right. One of the things about metallics just in general. So we want really high contrast, okay? So that means we've got to keep pushing the light. Okay, where's this reflection go? Probably here, right? We got a strong reflection there, which actually means this one needs to come up some. It needs to be equal to that one. We'll give it a little strong reflection like that. Okay, yeah. Let's grab some of this guy. Real thin. I don't want a lot of this, okay? I'm going to warm up that reflection a little bit. Then I got to come back in Okay, something like such. This is one of your favorite models I've done? Okay. I appreciate it. It's coming along. It's just some experimentation. All right. So, we got that curve over there. So we can enhance that a little bit. We can always pull it back down. All right, so what angle is the light coming from? It's coming like this, right? So she really wouldn't have a cast shadow, but if we wanted to put like just a tiny one, cast shadows on metallics, first of all, are extremely odd. But if we want to do one to separate, that shoulder just a little bit, we can. This is Chimera and an Artist Opus, just what I got. Okay, now, if you have too much noise, you can kind of throw off the shape. So we want to try and even out these shapes a little bit. Let some of them be a little bigger. you know, if this is a grass field, it would be pretty large. So just let it be a larger shape. So when blending, I'm going to start to make some of these areas a bit more subtle. Like I'm going to lose some of this extreme detail. Not detail, but so I want to enhance some separation and then soften others. The black line also tends to be like a really subtle, right? This is very heavy contrast right now. I don't quite need that much black. Okay, something like that. Let's grab some of this guy. We're going to make this reflection really strong. All right, maybe I need to zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay. Create some separation between these two planes. Right. All right, how bright do we need to go for the ground? Should be about a middle gray. let's see. So if a mid-tone gray is there, right, we need to come up a little bit. And we want basically here where the sky, that little plane meets, we want those two to basically be the same value and just sort of disappear into each other. So if I turn this thing black and white, it would be like that transition point doesn't exist. Okay, follow the curvature of the armor. Now some of these mountain range, whatever, it is, it's a little steep. Soften that out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, you interpret it how you want. No, I'm not painting anything specific. Just kind of a random landscape. There's clearly like a sky going on, but okay. So does the landscape affect the other colors in any way? What? Does the landscape affect the other colors in any way? Not if it's like very neutral like this. So like blue sky doesn't really, unless it's in the shadows, right? Like the shadow side will be affected slightly by blue sky, the ambient. But midday sunlight is very neutral. And unless she's standing in like a bright green grass field, like she's not going to get a whole lot of changes. Let's just get some random shapes in there. Okay, let's check from the sign. All right. So I'm checking to make sure that like when she's upright that horizon line is at the correct point, right? And right now it's a little high. I'm just going to make that small adjustment there to lower that down a little bit. Another thing we need to consider is that this has got a bend in it, right? So what does the reflection do at the bend? Does it bend away and then that light, the sun comes down a little bit, or does it bend outward? So it's reflecting, it's curving like this. So I think if it was an interior, if it was more curved in, it would go like this. I don't know, let's just try. This is one of the harder things with doing these types of reflections, is getting these sort of little shapes in at the end. Right? Does it go that way? I think that looks all right. And that means this one needs to come up a little. So then this one would reflect more like that. You get this tiny little Z shape. Hello, HyperDB. Okay. Brighten this a little. Because like we said, the sky on the horizon is not as dark as as it is above your head. Right. The blue is stronger at the top than on the side. Okay, that's looking all right. Let's add some more cloud up here. Maybe this one's kind of big. Then we can always soften that back down. Oh, just making noise. All right. Enhance that. Then where we get this reflection here. I want that one to like bleed into the other section. They're like blooms. Okay, so we've got to get that same curving property to this. So it's going to come in. We got to pick one direction or the other. So what does it do? I think it's going to come like that. Make a little Z. Let's zoom in. Okay, so if there's a cloud like this, it's going to come down and then join into that. Yeah, makes sense. I don't know. I don't know if it actually makes sense. It's just a thing that metallic does. It's just how reflections work. Okay, we can do the opposite on this side. So if it starts that way, it's going to do this. Oh, hold on. Let me get on camera. All right. So we'll make a little, we'll make one of our little zigzaggies. All right. So this light, there's something creating light here. It comes out and back in, comes up and across, stretches out, makes another little Z. Huh? That looks, it's very odd. Hi, Jason. We're painting some armor. Give you guys a second if you're behind an ad. Like out loud in response to me. Like, oh yeah, you can hear me. We're doing some stuff. We're painting some metallics. Some non-metallic variety. Trying to paint some fancy armor on this lass. She a lass? Or is she a lady? I guess she'd be a lady, right? So anyways, having fun doing this. Trying to make her look shiny. I'm going to pull her out from underneath the lamp real quick just to give her a look. Just give her a look-see. See what I think. I think right now, I think it's pretty okay. I think our ground reflections are all right. I think we could still go just the slightest amount higher with them. You know, I think I could use one here. Maybe even over slightly, like this. So how's everybody doing? What were you painting? What were you working on? Huh? Yeah, it makes me feel a little better. You were thinking of buying an airbrush. Heard they were good for painting. They are a tool. They have their uses. They make some things much faster. But you don't have to have one. They're not necessary. Building a Norn emissary. All right, let's think about this reflection back here. So what happens back here? So this is, we get some kind of ground reflection. What we actually did was kind of exaggerated the angle a little bit. So as we come back here, I want to think about what's going to be like reflecting behind her, right? So maybe behind her is something a little more green. Yeah, why not? Why not? We could do what we want. But if I do it there, okay, if I place one there, it's got to be here too. Right, because this is the same angle as this, which means that reflection is also going to show up right there. That's just how it works. Hello. Hi, Christian. I was doing revisions on a Patrick Masson bus. I'm entering an LVO. Bernie the stream thing. Bernie? The steam thing? Oh, the steam thing. I don't know what that is. I'm a bad person and I don't know every single figure by its name. Dude, I don't even know like a lot of the figures that I painted, like the box arts by their name. A lot of times they don't even have a name when I get them, and then like it's like, this is werewolf guy. Ah, yes. My favorite character, Werewolf Man. I don't believe you, Scott. I don't believe you for 1 second. All right. So this has like a little in it. It's got like a just looks like the slightest curve. So we can exaggerate that curve. By making the reflection U-shaped. Okay. That was everyone's holidays, by the way. Anybody get any cool, anybody get any figures and stuff or fun hobby related things? I don't like that cloud. That cloud's a little too much. All right, I'm gonna kill it. All right. I'm gonna unalive that cloud. Got Blood Angels Combat Patrol. You got the Hera, the elf, the Corpacali elf, my favorite figure of last year. Or this year, I should say. It's not it's not quite 2024 yet. Every year I do like a little Instagram story of my favorite pieces of the year. And this year, the elf, the Corpacali elf was my favorite. My overall favorite miniature piece of the year. Okay. So we keep going. Boom, we need the bright reflection there. Just pop it in. Same there. We need it right there. That also means we need it somewhere on this little rolled edge, right? I count that. You know, Get yourself a little spirit bus, you know, treat yourself. Count it. It'll be here, you know, soon enough. Just in time for the next one to come out. Got a transport box thing for display miniatures. Woo, fancy. Now you gotta go to shows. All right. The Fat 16 and Critical Falcon. I feel like I somehow missed you. Maybe I missed Divine Nation also. Sorry if I missed you. Welcome. Thanks for following. Play Era. Hello. It's a cool one. A dwarf. Sculpted by Juan, who does a lot of the sculpts for hair models, actually. Okay, so we want, obviously, we'll get some kind of reflection pattern thing going on in here, but it's not going to be crazy. So we're just going to create some little shape. It's still got to be darker than the sky, right? No matter what. So we can put some form and volume onto the reflection of the sword hilt, but no matter what, we can't go brighter than the sky. I don't like her collar. It's so weird. Or whatever. It's not how a gorget works. There are some flaws in the armor sculpting on this figure, but that's okay. Here we can go a little brighter than the horizon, just to separate that part of the blade. But then we quickly have to go back under a lower value. Okay, fix that. want that to be nice and straight. This is definitely where we can use some pure black. Patina von Body. All right. Hello, welcome. Right. Because let's look. Maybe we can emulate this kind of effect, right? So we've got, it's going to be difficult. So, right, so we've got this, right? And then what happens when we come in, right? Let's face the blade away. See? See how dark it is? Now we do get a little bit of the edge reflection, so maybe we can put that in. Let's try it like this. It's possible we could get a little edge reflection inside. I'm going to help just define it a little bit, you know? We could put a little, I don't know, some kind of reflection there. Also, if this is the top of the hilt, it's probably likely we'd get like a edge. Lighting up. Oh, something like that. Something like that, maybe. We can always make more adjustments as we go, but like, yeah, I don't think you're going to get really any light in there other than the light that's bouncing directly off the armor. And then again, you're bouncing light off the like bottom of the armor, so let's take a little bit of the brown and the black. Just glaze that down a little bit. Okay. What else? What else? This is all kind of still a lot of refinement to do, but I'm just trying to get a sense of where it's at, how it's working. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does it look metallic enough? Is the illusion convincing? Does she look like she's wearing high polished armor? The whole point is for it to work from here, so. Say, if anything, it probably should work better on camera. It would depend, right? So the first thing that's probably going to bounce light up is this red, which means that this reflection would probably need to change to red. But she has a light source from below. She's already got a bounce light. Oh. Can't really fill that side of her face anymore. Well, it wouldn't act like a focusing lens because a focusing lens would need to be dished. If it was dished, yeah, maybe, but it's rounded. So you might get like one little tiny reflection. It's like, see? Look at how, see, it's like a little, if I can get it at all. I'm trying to get a reflection on my hand from the, there you go. How difficult it is to get like a strong reflection. All right, what else can we do to her real quick? I don't know how much more I want to sit here and paint or sketch on the armor right now. I think I do want to change her hair a little. I think we're just going to throw some color onto her hair. I'm going to change her hair to black. We could still do like a dark brown, but I don't want it as intensely brown like it is right now. Not putting birds. They'd be too blurry. They'd be like just a little speck. There you go. The Artis Opus Series S. My favorite is the size 3. Even if I'm painting like little stuff. Space Marine, size 3. Details on a bust, size 3. Doesn't matter, size 3. We can make further adjustments to the back here in a minute, but I just want to see how I feel about the black hair. Okay, let's give her a little bit of light to give it some shape. Yes, I have tried the new Chimera ones. I have the whole set. They're nice. They're a little small for me. That seems to be my big takeaway. I don't know. We'll figure out her hair later. It's more neutral now, though. I wasn't digging the brown anymore. Okay, what else? Yeah, you just keep, making adjustments and idea here is small changes at a time. Once you've got the rough. No, this is not. This is a size 3. And you can see how yellow the handle is from how much I use it. That's hard to say. A brush will be in peak performance, typically like 2 big projects for me. Depending if it's a huge project, maybe only 1. It'll last for like at top quality. But I can keep using them beyond that. This cloud doesn't make any sense. This cloud's bothering. Maybe it does make sense. I feel like it should curve the other way a little bit, though. Hola, Iván. ¿Qué tal? See you, Richard. You have a headache? I'm sorry. You believe the center line should reflect the image downward. Do you have photographic evidence of this? Let's check the old Pinterest for knights in armor. Nope, I did it the correct way. It curves down this way on one side, and then the other one actually curves up. It's actually even a little more exaggerated than I did it. My instincts that never fail. If you guys want to see what I'm talking about with this center ridge, what we could call that shape? We need a name. We need a name for this shape, right? It's like I've been calling it like a Z, but really it goes like this. Okay. It's like a Z. You can see it right there. It's like a curve, a straight line curve. Sometimes you get multiple curves, but and sometimes you get a shape like this, which I call S curves, but they kind of do this move where they go like this, and then they go like that, and then that. So it's like it's another kind of Z shape. Oh, what? We got an official name for this? Huh. Vertical asymptote. I love having words to throw around in a workshop and then be like, and now you can forget that word, you'll never use it again, but you know what I'm referring to when I say it. What about the other one? Can you graph a shape like that? I guess it would be like, right? You can graph a shape like that. That's a pretty easy one, right? But then with the the line that it approaches as it moves towards infinity. It's like a parabola with, well, you switch the direction. Well, the tangent is, no. Yeah, man. That's basically what metallic reflections are doing. They're crazy. Science. Get your math on. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put a little asymptote right here. Huh? Okay. Well, I could sit here and goof around on this for a while and like make all these tiny adjustments. But I think I'll leave it there for now. I hope that was informative. If not, sorry. But, all right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. Until next week. See if we